This is my video talking about Sean Connery. And this video is very late. He died like 2 weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago, Saturday, he was, like, I was surprised to find out he was 90 years old. Like, I didn't think he was, I didn't know he was that old. I thought he was at least 70, 80 years old. Like, I was very surprised to find out he was that old. I know, but the worst part of it is that, like, I was hoping. Now I know he was in retirement. He was in retirement. Yeah, he was done acting because he said after the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen that he didn't understand the industry anymore. That it was, it was weird. Because if you know the story behind that, like, if you don't know the story behind that, he'd gotten offered the role he got offered the role in The Matrix, but he turned it down because he didn't understand the script, so he turned that down. And then he got offered another role in Lord of the Rings and turned it down because he didn't understand the script. And then he got League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, and it was like he didn't understand the script, but this time he wasn't going to turn it down because how Matrix and Lord of the Rings both did. Those movies like killed it in the box office when they came out. And I think he thought that League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was going to do the same thing, but it didn't. And if you know, like, the story behind that movie, that's like a whole nother video you can make about that movie. So when it didn't happen, he left the industry and he retired. And I always hoped that before he passed, we'd get one more good movie from him, and that would be his last movie. It'd be like a great, amazing movie that Sean Connery would star in, or maybe he appeared in, and that would be his last movie before he died. And we never got that. He was enjoying his retirement. He didn't want to do any other movies. He didn't want to come back for like one last movie or anything. I did recently find out, I think 2 days after he died, another person made a video, this guy named Minty, who's down in Australia. He does like these 10 things you didn't know about ... videos, and they're pretty good. And he did one on Sean Connery as Bond, and he mentioned in his video that Sean Connery had actually gotten offered a role in James Bond, one of the Daniel Craig James Bond movies, to play like another character, not to play James Bond, but to play another character. And it was like, and he turned it down because he was enjoying the retirement, and it was like, oh man, that would have been cool. And I heard that, and I thought, like, that'd be cool if he'd done that, because then his last movie appearance wouldn't have been fucking League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. That would have been great. I've been a big fan of Sean Connery's ever since Bond. Well, not ever since Bond, I should say, because the first movie I ever saw him in was Highlander, which I thought was a great movie. It's a great movie. You should check it out. Highlander and Highlander 2, The Quickening. Um, he was great in those movies. I had no idea what his name was because I was a kid. Like, I never know. Like, I never knew like any of the actors' names back then. It wasn't until like years later I found out his name was Sean Connery, and then like I found out he was in all these other movies like James Bond, like Time Bandits, you know, stuff like that. And then for like a while, I'd see him in another movie, and I'd be like, "Oh, it's James Bond," because again, I didn't know the actor's real name. Or like Ramirez, or I'd call him like Ramirez from Highlander, because that was his character's name. And I only knew the guy by his character's name. I only knew actors by their character names, not their real names. And then he did, you know, and then like the 90s, he was like, you know, he was not all throughout the 90s, but he was there in the 90s with Avengers, the Uma Thurman movie based on the 60s British TV show, if I remember. Not Marvel's The Avengers, because some people get that confused. You know, they think, you hear Avengers, you think Marvel The Avengers, but most people don't realize that there was a British TV show back in, I believe, the 60s called Avengers. Yeah. So he played the villain in that movie, and he was a pretty good villain. He was a pretty good villain in that movie, I gotta say. Very good. He was also in another movie called Entrapment with Catherine Zeta-Jones, which is another good movie he was in. It was great. I loved it. And I also believe he was in Art of War with Wesley Snipes. Maybe it was a movie called Rising Sun. I'm not sure. I remember Wesley Snipes in the 90s did a movie with Sean Connery, and it might have been Art of War, maybe a movie called Rising Sun. I'm not entirely sure. Probably should have looked it up before I fucking made this video, but you know, that would be like I'd be like a good YouTuber if I fucking did that. So never mind. You know, but that's what it was in one of those movies. He was in a movie with Wesley Snipes. I remember it being pretty good. I don't remember like anything else about it, because I think I only ever saw the movie once, and I only watched the movie because I knew there was this scene where there was a picture of them and they switched their heads. And I was like, oh, that's cool, and I only watched the movie to see that. Yeah. So but I remember the movie being pretty entertaining. Yeah, he had like a very long career, spreading joy and happiness to everybody, you know, through his movies. Had a lot of fans, you know. A lot of people did there were a lot of people that could do the voice. Everybody did the voice, like, you know, the Sean Connery voice. Everybody did that. I'm not going to do it here, but everybody could do that. And you know, he was great. He was a great actor. I think it's a shame that we didn't get like one more great movie out of him. But, you know, like somebody could have came up to him and offered him like this great movie role, like, hey, this will be like a great movie, and he would have been like, yeah, I'll come out of retirement to do that. You know, I would have enjoyed that. I think we all would have enjoyed it. You know, even if it was like to come out, you know, to play someone's dad, or someone's granddad or something, something like that. It would. I think it would have been great to see him. It would have been great to see him like one last time. But yeah, but it didn't happen. He enjoyed his retirement. And I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. He died. I don't think he died with very many regrets. He probably regretted doing League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. But it's not his. It's not. I don't think it's really. I think the only reason that movie didn't turn out the way it was supposed to was maybe because of the studio. But that's not for this video. That's for another video. And it's like, man, yeah, it's hard. Like, he was good. He was great. I loved his movies. I hope, and maybe now, like some company out there will put together like a Sean Connery collection of movies. Like one big giant box of like all of Sean Connery's roles into like one big movie. It probably won't have James Bond in it because they're not they're not gonna let that go to put it into like some other company that make money off of that. They're not gonna let that go. But maybe like those roles that like he never they weren't small roles, but like from movies that were way back that most people don't even know about, like that movie with the giant floating stone head that gave all those guys the guns. I never saw that whole movie. It was a science fiction movie, and I think it involved time travel. And Rick and Morty, an episode of Rick and Morty, parodied that scene when it was in the Zorp Resort episode when Rick and Beth went to that planet, Zorp Resort, to figure out where the sex robot came from and why a baby came out of it. They were trying to figure that out. They were trying to figure that out, and then during the episode, the giant floating stone head came out and threw out all the sex robots. That was they got that from a Sean Connery movie. I can't remember the name of it, but it began with a V. It was a weird sounding name. Like, it began with a V, and it was like and then Stonehead came out. Like, there's a voice coming from it, and it was like, and it tossed all these guys guns so they could go kill some people. And Sean Connery's character climbed into the head through the mouth to find out that it was a ship that was being piloted by some guy, and that it wasn't what he thought, because they thought it was a god. Excuse me for 1 second. Okay. They thought it was like some kind of a god, and then he finds out that it's not. He's been lied to. I can't remember, and I never saw the whole movie. But the beginning of that movie was amazing. And I think there was definitely some time travel involved in that. If anybody knows what the name of that movie is, put it in the comments. Yeah. But this is, the rest in peace, Sean Connery. Rest in peace, man. Like, rest in peace. And that one last movie. I just wish we had that one last movie from him. Like something that would have been like, it would have brought him out of retirement. Even if it was just for that one time, that would have been perfect. All right. See you guys later.